a wife, a mother. Within 4 months of sobriety, falls off the wagon. Hard. What it's like for her husband and family. Today, live on Restoring Hope.
Restoring hope. Open my heart to sing. Taking the darkness inside. Revealing your light. Restoring hope. Open my eyes to see. See the world through different eyes. Revealing your light. Restoring hope.
It is the 5th day of May in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and welcome to this week's edition of RestoringHopeLive.com, a radio program that deals with life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And this is a show you're not going to want to miss. If you're listening to us on XM, channel 131, Family Talk, thank you very much for joining us. You can also be listening to us on KTIA in Iowa, Columbus, Ohio, and also online at RestoringHopeLive.com. And we appreciate you listening. We know that there are plenty of choices of entertainment or information that you have at this time of the day. And for whatever reason, you've chosen Restoring Hope. And perhaps the Holy Spirit led you here today. Perhaps there is something here today that He wants you to hear. He wants you to know. He wants you to share. That's the purpose of Restoring Hope Live. We honor God, follow Jesus, and serve others. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a couple that I'm going to refer to as Dick and Jane. And if you've not been a longtime listener of mine, let me ask you permission for something. I would never, ever, ever, ever bring someone on this radio program and say they are somebody else if they're not them. But I also respect, and Bob, I'm going to say the word wrong, anonymity.
Anonymity?
Yeah. I also respect that. And I believe that every person has that right to privacy in their life. So listening today, their name is Dick and Jane, and you're just going to have to trust me that their story is real. We're just not going to expose their real names. And if you're watching this online, there will be no camera on the couple today, as they also hoped and wished for that. You'll also hear the sound of little feet coming in and out, and that's their two children, a son and a daughter. Son's the oldest, right? Or is the daughter the oldest?
Daughter.
And they're about 4 or 5?
3 and 4.
3 and 4, okay. And so this is kind of weird to them. Mom and Dad are in here, and they're out there with Nick, and Nick's doing the best. But sometimes, you know, you need the skirt of Mom or Dad to come and hold on to, and that's perfectly fine. We are very transparent here, and I'm not going to be concerned, and I hope you would not be either. Bob Montzer at the Cat in the Hat watching the chat. If you log on to RestoringHopeLive.com, you can log on and chat and send us messages, and Bob will relay those to me. Maddie on the video producing today, and, of course, Eric producing the audio. So, Dick and Jane, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a tough couple weeks, hasn't it? It was, 3 weeks ago that I think Jane, came up to me in a 12-step meeting and said, I'd really like you to hear my story through my husband's ears and mouth of what it's like to be going through treatment and then being at that time, 4.5 months, I think?
Just shy of 4 months.
Just shy of 4 months sober. And so, and understand, for those of you that don't know anyone who's ever faced the demons of alcoholism, hopefully you don't need educated on where that disease, okay, where that, if you don't want to call it a disease, then we'll call it how about you're allergic to it, okay? But just understand, it's not about drinking or not drinking to an alcoholic. To an alcoholic, and I say this because I am one. I'll be sober 3 years this Friday, May 10th. So I'm fairly new to it myself. But that first day is a big deal. It's 24 hours. And most of us couldn't put 24 hours together if we had to. And then at the end of the first week, you're beginning to feel differently and life's kind of different. And then at the end of the first month, oh my heavens, you went 30 days. You may have never gone 30 days in your life since you took that first drink. So when someone is in 4 months of sobriety, that's a big deal. But life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups come along and trip people up. And how long ago? 3 weeks ago you fell off?
About 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and we in 12-step program, we don't call it falling off the wagon. We call it going out for more research. How's that going for you there, Jane?
I hate it.
Yeah, it is. I love you so much. I'm so sorry that you're going through this, but
Thank you.
just know that all the support in the world comes from me, because I know I talked to Patrick yesterday on the phone for a while, and I know what Dick's going through. You know, I know what he's going through. All the families have. All right. So why was there a trigger? What made you fall off? I mean, you were doing so well.
I was doing so well, and the things I was warned about, the things I heard about, but I thought, oh, that won't apply to me.
Like, stop going to meetings?
No, I was still going to meetings.
Okay.
I have a regular routine.
Okay.
There were a few things. Something silly as mouthwash. I thought, oh, I can have mouthwash. Why can't I have mouthwash?
Right.
And used it normally for a while. And then I thought, I wonder what that would taste like. Mm. And it's just that tingle of alcohol in your mouth. And when you feel it, you know, like if you had a shot of good whiskey or whatever your drink was, and you feel it going down into your stomach. And that's has been a good feeling. And
yeah, it's first that tingle, as you said, when it hits your tongue. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't understand alcoholism, this is going to sound really stupid to you. It's going to sound like eating a piece of toast, and we're making it sound luxurious, but it's unbelievable when you get that first drink of the day, or as you've been off of it for 4 months. And when that alcohol goes down the back of your throat, your body comes alive. Because again, if you don't want to say disease, please say allergic. Because an alcoholic just simply can't drink like a normal person. We don't have one drink, we have 9. In an alcoholic's world, it's all we think about. Usually we put it before our family, our God, and our work, because that's the way an alcoholic is. And maybe you're listening to this and going, well, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't need to listen to this. Somebody you know is. If you came out of church today, do you realize 10% of the people in your pews are alcoholics? 10%. That means for everyone that's an alcoholic, there's a spouse, parents, children who are also suffering through this disease. And the purpose of today's show is to help maybe people understand what it's like so you can be more tolerant and you can be empathetic, not apathetic, towards people who have this disease. So, Jane, you started back up again, and you knew there's still that voice that says, this isn't right. I can't do this.
Absolutely. But I chose to not listen to that voice. I have a sponsor, and I've never picked up the phone and called her and said, I need help right now. And that's what I need to be doing. And the desire to have the drink and knowing I'd get talked out of it is more compelling than picking up the phone and making that call.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many mothers like you out there, you know. Just know that you're helping somebody today.
I hope so.
Yeah. By sharing your story today, there's another mother out there that's going to go, I'm not alone. Oh, my heavens, that's my story. There's another husband or a spouse out there that's going to hear your story, Dick, and go, oh, my gosh, I'm not alone. I thought I was the only one who ever drank mouthwash. But there's a lot of people out there suffering like this. We're going to take our first break. That's at 15, right? All right, we're going to take our first break here in a minute or so. And when we come back, we're going to hear about this through the ears of Dick and listen to what he goes through. And maybe you'll be able to relate, or maybe you'll be able to relate to a parent who you watched as a codependent grow up and your mom or your dad were alcoholics, and you watched what your other parent did. If you want help, you can get help. You'll see St. Gregory's number up there right now. They are staffed with counselors. They're not staffed with, when can you come in? Give me your credit card. That's not what they do. Okay, they're staffed with counselors. And there's a counselor standing by to answer any single question you have, like, am I an alcoholic? Or what can I do to help my husband? It's St. Gregory's online, St. Gregory's Retreat. Just Google St. Gregory's, 1-888-682-5937. Joe Mikes is in the house. We're going to learn a little about St. Gregory's right here.
Restoring hope.
addiction treatment is all the same. Whether you're addicted to pornography or whether you're addicted to Miller beer, there's still addiction. And I've got Joe Mites here from St. Gregory's. And if everything's an addiction treatment, then why are shows like this so important for St. Gregory to be around?
That's a really good question, because this format really talks about those issues that people are struggling with. What we're really dealing with when we talk about addictions treatment is really getting to those core fundamental issues that are really throwing confusion into people's lives about what's my purpose, how did I get here, what do I do from here, and that's really what we find leads to an addiction. That's a big point for us.
You know, I know that at the end of my addiction, when I was either going to choose to live or die, one of the questions that came out, because I did have a spiritual relationship with God at the time. I didn't know Jesus this well, but I kept saying, what's my purpose? Why am I here? I'm 40-something years old. I've had my kids. I've made money. My wife's okay. Why are you keeping me around?
That's what's really surprising for people as they go through the St. Gregory program, is what the program's really focused on isn't so much about putting Band-Aids on things and helping you find momentary, fleeting bits of happiness or pleasure. We're really breaking down what does it look like to obtain true happiness and true joy. We're really making an effort to help people heal completely from the inside out and help them to reach a higher goal as opposed to just being sober. We're not looking at sobriety as the end goal. We're looking at your life. We're really looking at the big things that you really want to accomplish, not to help not do.
Yeah, because if you're not sober, if you're alcoholic or addicted to drugs or depression medicine or anything like that, you really can't get to start.
That's right. You'll see someone come out of a recovery program when sobriety is their primary focus in life. That's the end game. And they get there and, well, nothing really comes from just sobriety, and they start thinking, is this it? Well, no. The whole point is that's not it. The point is, let's go and achieve things with the rest of your life. Let's really be involved and engaged in those things that really are going to bring you happiness and joy. And that's a very different approach. We really want to make sure that people are grasping this idea that life is very big, and it can be very big for them. And they've come to this point where all they understand is this little world of being caught in the cycle of addiction and dependencies. We're helping to break that, not just for the sake of breaking addiction and dependencies, but so they can go on and live out their life with purpose and meaning.
Yeah, I hear so many people talk about after they get sober and after the desire to drink or drug or whatever is lifted from them, then they realize how messed up their life is.
That's exactly right.
They've been swallowing it and burying it, and they can't feel the pain. And when they begin to feel the pain, that's when somebody like St. Gregory's can come in and, literally one hand at a time, pull them out of that dark hole.
That's right. What St. Gregory Retreat Center does, we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to really get a full understanding of what's truly going on here. And by that, I'm not talking about, well, you drink too much or you're using drugs. The real problem is what is the emotional turmoil that's really causing you to respond to life in an unhealthy way? How do we help you to challenge those beliefs that you may have about yourself in a way that helps you not to just move on with life and not be reactive to things, but truly understand the real logic behind why are you believing what you're believing? How are you really pursuing a life of joy and happiness?
All right. How do we get a hold of St. Gregory's?
You can get a hold of St. Gregory's at 888-778-5833. Our counselors are always available. That's 888-778-5833. The website is stgregoryctr.com. And you can just do a Google search for St. Gregory Retreat Center, and that'll come right up.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
20 minutes after the hour on this, the 5th day of May in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. This is Restoring Hope Live. More information on the show you can find at restoringhopelive.com, but I want to get right back to our story. We've got Dick and Jane here. Of course, that's not their real names. Just please trust me. Learn to trust me. I ask that you learn to trust me, that when I have people in here and they want anonymity, anonymity. I said that right. I'm going to give it to them, but that doesn't mean that they're not telling you the truth. That will never, ever happen on this program. We just don't fool around like that. We're not into the entertainment. We're into the information. We're into the Holy Spirit. We're into God reaching in, taking his words and putting them out of our mouths, because I believe there's something that's said today that's going to help you. You didn't even know you needed help. You didn't even know you were looking for help. But something today will remind you, somebody I love, somebody I care about, somebody I'm work with is in trouble. They're in the midst and the throes of hurts, habits, and hang-ups, alcoholism, drug abuse. It happens to 1 out of 10 of us. So today, as you were in church or you're going to church, look down that pew. Look across the church. 10 people out of 100. 1 person out of 10 is suffering from these hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And this show each week will highlight that. Next week, it's Mother's Day. So I thought, well, I'll bring in a happy mother. Bring in a bunch of happy moms. We'll just have ham, and we'll have good food and cake, and we'll praise God and sing the wishes of our wonderful mothers. That's not my style. Next week, a mother who lost her only child to meth addiction, and what it was like for her to go through that experience, and believe it or not, how she found Christ in the middle of it. Wow, it's going to be an amazing story. All right, Dick and Jane with us today, and Jane was sober 4 months and then began to slip. Started with mouthwash, and Dick, when did you notice that she was slipping? What changed? Because you had 4 months of sobriety, and that was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the first little over a month, almost month and a half, was in a facility. So it was mostly on phone conversations. I was always able to detect something in the voice, speech, not just the tone of voice. It moves registers when there was alcohol involved. And so the tone is different. The pacing is different. The pattern is different. I was a bartender for years. I used to look often first for differences in speech in people to see a lot of times drunk people will slow down in speech because they know they're entering that area of exposing themselves as inebriated. They don't want to make a mistake and slur and stumble. So the speech slows down, and I would notice that. You could see deliberation in, movement, because it's like, I don't want to expose myself. So usually it would be most noticed by me by the things that were being extra effort that was being taken to not expose. I know that sounds very strange.
No, that makes sense.
So I would say it was, you had left, it was the end of November, got back beginning of January, and it was around mid-March when it was probably the first time I'd asked you in months, have you had anything? The thing that was...
Go ahead. You work with him for just a second.
All right.
Dick and Jane have their kids here, 4 and 3 years old, and we do not want to make them feel alienated or make them feel strange.
Right.
So we've left the door to the studio open, and they can just come in and out, kind of like a kid in church. Just please put up with it, okay? Because we love them. Let's go to you for go ahead and go back.
So I think that was the first time. It was around mid-March, and the thing, and it took me a while. I noticed a couple of times where something was just slightly off, but it wasn't the normal behavior of when somebody had been drinking before. That was the only thing that was different. I could always smell something. I can usually smell something even in sweat, because, as you know, alcohol eventually exits the body through perspiration and various other mechanisms, but perspiration is one of them. And with somebody who's struggling with a drinking problem, one of the things they cannot hide is the perspiration. And to those that are close enough to them, they go, I smell it. I can, and you can almost smell if it was wine or beer or hard liquor. Yeah. So I detected a little bit of that, but I didn't see any crazy behavior, nothing like in the days when we were really struggling. So I was suspicious at first, and like most people struggling with alcohol addiction, one of the first things that goes out the window is truth. So you can ask that question, right. Have you been doing anything? And the answer is no.
Right, and I want to emphasize this. It's not a characteristic of an individual who is in the thralls of alcoholism to lie.
No.
All right, this is the way an alcoholic works. There are no honest alcoholics. So if you're in the midst of a relationship of some kind and you want to take it personally, that the person who's in the throes of this disease is lying to you, don't. Okay, it's not about you. I'm sorry, it's not about you. Okay, they lie. Alcoholics lie.
Yeah. So you'll have a hard time getting at the truth, and I think the coincidentally the day that the truth did come out was, and I don't know if it was, how sometimes you say on your show, if I can just help somebody, and I was sitting here on your show a number of weeks ago, and you had finished with, well, hopefully we help somebody. And that was the day I went home. And then the truth came out that the Listerine had been, swallowed and consumed. And there was a sense of irony. I said, well, Mac had been hoping that he would, help at least one person. And unbeknownst to him, he was actually helping the person who was just sitting in the chair across from him an hour earlier. Because I go home and then we had an honest moment. But, since that time, it's been the struggle with alcoholism, and you learn a lot as the other person in the relationship, is once, like you say, an alcoholic can't have one, they have 9.
Right.
And once they start, it's extremely hard to... Sorry about that.
That's all right. We're playing bubbles. There you go, buddy.
There you go.
Thanks for being here.
There. Okay. Be good. Once it starts, you hear when Jane was in a facility.
Sorry about this. We've got the kids here because this is the only way this is going to work. Jane, let me move to you for just a second. So, was Dick being on that show that day, was that a trigger?
No, that wasn't a trigger. That was something inside me. Heard him talking about how wonderful it was that I'd been having this period of recovery and how wonderful it was to have his wife back. And it was a shock of guilt to my system that this had been going on for a while, and I knew it. And he knew something was up, but I hadn't talked to him about it.
That wasn't the first day you drank. That was just the first time he realized you were drunk. Did you get drunk on
Not
mouthwash?
drunk. I liked...
Oh, you're just buzzing.
Sips of it, or I liked the feeling of it as opposed to drinking it to get drunk.
And then did you go back to alcohol then? Bottled alcohol?
Once that truth came out and it was open to my sponsor and to people in 12-step meetings and to other people, the next time I was in a social situation and there were people around me that didn't know that I was struggling with this, and, let's have a glass of wine. It's like, well, I've already fallen off here, so why not?
Yeah, they always say in 12-step programs that when you go back out for research or you fall off, whatever you want to call it, you go right back to where you were. There's no I'm just going to take a sip every day and I'm going to be fine with that for 30 days. One of the jokes in the 12-step meetings is that I'm just going to have one. I can start lightly and I can learn to drink responsibly. Unfortunately, that does not happen.
Well, and this was an old bartending joke, people used to come in and says, I'm here just for one.
Yeah.
It's the third one or it's the fifth one, but that's the one I'm here for.
But that's the one
So
I'm
give
here
me
for.
the first 4 and then we'll get to the one I came here for.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize that that's no joke. That's how some alcoholics say, I can have just one. It's just going to take me 5 or 6 to get to it.
Yeah.
To get to that one. That's the one I wanted. And
Jane, before you went into treatment center, what were you drinking? The quantity?
About 2 bottles of wine a day.
2 bottles of wine a day. Was that your drink of choice? Was wine?
Yeah.
Okay. So it looked casual. It looked okay. You're just having a glass of wine.
I'd have a bottle of wine in the fridge and have one hidden somewhere else. So Patrick would think, she's only had a glass or 2.
Yeah, we're good. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to get kind of rough here. If you've got kids listening under the age of probably 11 or 14, we're not going to use any foul language or anything like that, but we're going to talk about the pain. We're going to talk about the pain that Dick's going through watching his wife, his dream girl, the love of his life, struggle back through this again after thinking maybe we were done with it. It's next on Restoring Hope.
Restoring
Make sure your child is up with the alarm and ready for school each morning, because missing just 18 days, even in middle school, will put their graduation at risk. It's up to you. Learn more at boostup.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text. Oh, there's another one. Wow. Busy me. So, anyway...
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. My friends keep commenting on my comment. Oh, there's another one. So many comments on my comment.
Oh, I can't wait to watch TV tonight. Playoffs!
Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Pew, pew. Wait, Mom, what?
What? Hold
What'd you say? Wait a second, what?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
So, I'm a dog, and I'm kind of new to this family, but I've noticed a trend. My humans do this thing where they go around and get all my toys and hide them in this basket, but it's always the same basket, and it's always the same place. And then they act so surprised when I find them, but I'm like, hello, that's where you put it last time. Humans are the worst at hide and go seek.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school,
in math,
I learned that I'm ugly and useless.
Trash.
And in gym,
in biology,
I learned that I'm pathetic
that I'm fat
and a joke.
and stupid.
In history,
Today
I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends.
In biology,
In English, I learned that I make people sick.
And
at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell.
And
in chemistry, I learned that no one likes
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid.
In English,
and in math,
that I make people sick.
I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today.
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The traditional light bulb, a groundbreaking invention in 1879. It's time we switch to longer-lasting Energy Star light bulbs. They're more efficient than the old bulbs, like a text message is more efficient than a carrier pigeon. And they cut down on our energy costs. Because in our own groundbreaking age, we deserve a light bulb that saves us some cash. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
25 minutes before the top of the hour on this, the 5th day of May in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Restoring Hope Live. Dr. Mike Hartwig joins us today. He was a little late, but that's because you gave the message at your church this morning.
I did. It was great.
You did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, he did it twice, and I came to the early service. So, and it was on marriage and how important marriage is, and you laid marriage out biblically.
Well, yeah, you did pay attention.
I did pay attention.
It kind of looked like you were sleeping there for a minute.
Well, I closed my eyes during the sermon. You're not much to look at. You know. Eric and Maddie in the production booth. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. I've introduced you to Dick and Jane today. Of course, that's not their real name, but just trust me, I know who they are. I've known them both a long time. And Jane was 4 months sober and then fell off the wagon. And 3 weeks ago, when we planned to do this show, she had just about 4 months, and we were going to talk about, her husband Dick was going to talk about just how wonderful life was, again, now that he had his dream girl back. And then, as life does, life deals us lemons, and we have to deal with life on life's terms rather than on our terms. And when we can't do that, we all have coping mechanisms. Some of us are mad. Some of us are angry. Some of us gamble. Some of us go into a dark hole and watch TV. Some of us play video games. Some people drink. Some people drug. Some people gamble. Some people become emotionally and verbally abusive. It's how we deal with life. Sick people hurt people, or as we say, hurt people hurt people. And someone in the thralls of that disease. And if you don't believe it's a disease, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But the American Medical Journal and the scientists around the world have determined that it is a disease. And if you don't want to call it a disease, at least allow us to say I'm allergic to alcohol. Because when I drink it, it makes my body and my mind do stupid things. And most importantly, what it doesn't allow me to stop. We were joking earlier, Dick and I were, because Dick was a bartender for years. And how do you know if you're an alcoholic? One of the ways I always say is when you're sitting around a table of 4 or 5 people and you're in a bar and everybody's decided to go home, if there's alcohol left in any of the glasses, the alcoholic is the one that stays behind and empties every glass. Because the other people, they don't care, right?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen it?
Quite a few, and nothing screams. Whenever I would be bartending and there'd be somebody hosting an open bar, party, you'd see the true alcoholics come out, because to them it's like stuffing $5 bills in their pocket.
Yeah,
and they'd set up stations. You could see the guy setting up stations. Here's a drink over there, and there's a drink over there, and a drink over there. So
yeah, because if he doesn't want to get them all through the same bartender, because then the bartender will realize how many he's had to drink.
Exactly.
And even though you probably don't realize this, 95 out of 100 bartenders or 99 out of 100 bartenders really don't want you to get drunk.
Yeah,
and it's not about a legal liability. The society has made that a consequence, but there is no bartender that wants you to get drunk. The bartenders just simply want to serve you 2 or 3, whatever your limit seems to be. And when you get a little out of touch, they'll remind you. Now, I hope that's the kind of bartender you have. If you don't, find a new bartender, or after all, maybe just quit drinking. Yeah. You guys are high functioning, very good society people. You're not people who live under the bridge and stretch out to pay your double wide payment at the end of the month. You got 2 little kids. In fact, they're with us here today. You, Jane, have a wonderful job in the community, very visual in the community. And unfortunately, it's a job that allows you to be around alcohol, because you're kind of not a hostess, but you run something.
There are a lot of special events that.
All right, you take care of special events. And the first 4 months that you were sober after you completed your treatment and you were around alcohol, what was it like?
It's hard. The smell of it, watching people enjoy it. I just kept telling myself, I can't have one. I can't sip one. I'm going home now. As opposed to, maybe I'll stay and see what happens.
Right.
Which is when you leave that door open, you're going to go through it.
And luckily you had a boss that supported you through that.
Yes.
Does support you.
Yes.
You're either going to quit drinking or you're going to die, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. And for those of you listening that aren't used to recovery talk, please don't get angry with me because I said that. That's what we say in this. I've been there.
True.
I'm in recovery. At some point, we get to the point where we either decide that we're going to die or we're going to quit and we're going to live, because we can't live and drink.
Do you have a relapse?
No. Well, I say no because May 10th, 3 years ago this Friday, is when I quit, and I haven't drunk since. But what's funny is I had my first OUWI in 94, And I went through all the motions that the judge had me do and my probation officer. And I went to I went to 12-step meetings.
Right.
And then as soon as I was out from under the law, boom, back drinking. Same thing in 91 when I had my second OWI. Went through all the motions that they wanted me to go through. And then as soon as I was clear of any legal ramifications, boom, I was back. So in a way, you could say I relapsed twice.
Right.
But I never really intended to. Now, here's the funny thing. So finally, some friends of mine in Arizona get my attention a few years ago, and they said, it's a problem. Okay, we love you, but you're kind of a jerk.
Right.
No, not kind of. You are a big jerk when you get out of hand. So please try to stop. So I very proudly went 28 days. And on the evening of the 28th day, I took all my friends out for martinis. Because I went 28 days, right? One day is a huge deal, Jane.
Yes.
And I don't know if you had tried to quit before you went to treatment, but 3 days was a hallelujah chorus. See, I'm not an alcoholic. I went 3 whole days.
And I never drank through my pregnancies. I didn't drink at all for
Yeah.
either of them. And so in my mind, that was an indication, oh, see, I don't have a problem.
Right.
So why didn't you?
Because her mother instinct takes over and it's bigger than her alcoholic instinct.
Is that true?
Yes.
God is in those children in her life.
Right.
The accuser is in the middle of her alcoholism. The accuser is out here in the hall right now, Dr. Mike, doing push-ups, waiting for us to get off this radio show so he can attack again.
Right.
But and also pregnancy, there's a hormonal change that happens, which, one of Jane's problems was being able to sleep. Well,
unable to sleep.
Unable to sleep, and
yeah.
alcohol was assisted in that. But during pregnancy, that problem was gone. Sleep was easy.
Yeah.
And so it's, like you say, Mother Nature and God provided a way for her to, have that relief from stress without, chemical assistance, which was good.
All right, we're going to go to the phone. Steve is on the phone. Steve, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Can you tell me what part of the country you're calling from?
Right now, I'm just leaving Missouri and crossing into Arkansas on my way down to Mississippi.
All right. Well, thank you for calling. You wanted to make a comment. Go ahead.
Well, by the grace of God, this June 14th, I'll celebrate 28 years of sobriety.
Congratulations, brother.
And listening to her talk about that 4 months coming out of treatment, when I went into treatment, it was to try to save my marriage. We were right in the throes of divorce. That didn't happen. So the story you hear at the AA meetings, financially bankrupt, spiritually bankrupt, and all that was all true in the beginnings of May of 85. But when my wife didn't want to try and get back together after 2 weeks into treatment, I was feeling kind of sorry for myself, and my lead counselor was a woman, and I walked in her office, and Claudia says, "So what's up?" I said, "Well, my wife's not coming back." She said, "Well, go ahead and pack your bags." I said, "What?" She said, "Pack your bag." Well, that's pretty cool. She said, "Look," she said, we're here for people who want to be here. Apparently, you don't want to be here unless she's going to be here. And we had to, so I mean, what it was accountability for myself to say, so are you here for you or are you here for her?
Right.
And so that was the beginning of it. The next 6 months were hell. I mean, one thing I didn't do was drink. And I've been marriage never did come back together. By the grace of God, I got remarried, and as I'll celebrate 25 years in September, and get along fine with my ex and my 4 daughters from my first marriage. We all get along really great because we believe the devil's had enough of our life. We're not going to let him have any more.
Yeah.
But so what I want to say to her is I hung around, and I guess this is why I called. She said the smells of the alcohol, the people drinking. I hung around the bars because that was my friends. And of course, when I come out of treatment, they're all patting me on the back. Oh, you're good, you're good. On one side, and on the other side, they're saying, "Well, you didn't have a problem. Do we have a problem?" I'd say, I don't know if you got a problem. All I know is for myself. And that December, the last time I went to the bars, I came home. I was headed home to pick my daughters up for Christmas Eve, and I stopped at the bar to say hi to a few of my friends on the way. Had my Coca-Cola, and I went to the restroom. When I come back out, there was a Scotch on the rock sitting there next to my Coke. I looked at my friend. I said, "What's this?" He said, "The BS is done, man. It's time for you to man up." You know, you could at least have one with me for, you know, celebrating Christmas Eve. And I said, well, I guess I got to go, you know, and that strength only comes from, you know, from when you, for me, I acknowledge Jesus Christ, my higher power, and the strength of the Holy Spirit. But I also believe that when the program says you hang around long enough and you work on this spirituality in your life long enough, and you will have your own personal spiritual awakening. And I had mine that fall of '85. I told God, I'm done. I feel like you're up there laughing at me. I haven't got my family back. I haven't, you know, any of the stuff that I thought I wanted. And on top of it, you're going to send me over Donner Pass, and it's snowing like crazy up there. And I need to get back because there's things I got to do. It's all me. I got to do. I make deals with him. Hurry up, get me home. That means I got to talk to her. And that didn't work. But anyway, I got sent up through Feather River Canyon going out of Yuba City, and it was 23 miles along the river, and those big granite walls had little water spigots coming out. The sun was shining there, and I looked off to the left, and I seen a rainbow. I thought, well, yeah, right, rainbow storm. And then I seen another rainbow across the canyon, and another. I quit counting at about 13. But when I got on the other end of that 23 miles, it was just like everything had been lifted off my shoulders. I didn't have near the hatred. I didn't have near the anguish or, you know, anxiety and all that stuff. He just took it off of me. And what I've shared with a lot of people is, you know, he allows us to have our head. You know, if this is what we want, he allows us to have it full force. And so when people say to me, well, you have 28 years of sobriety, you got to be really smart. I said, I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
I'm not smart at all. I said, if I have one drink, why would I want to gamble that chance of one drink to revisit the pain that I had for 6 months?
Yeah.
And the pains that went after that?
Yeah.
So, no, it ain't because I'm strong. It's because I'm a chicken.
Well, Steve, I appreciate you calling in today and sharing your story. And Dick and Jane have both been here holding hands and nodding their heads, you know, that Steve's story is so true and it affects everybody. Thanks for listening there on XM 131. All right, we're going to take our break. Joe Mines is here from St. Gregory's, and let's learn a little bit more about the kind of treatment center that you can go to when you've got alcoholism, when your life is in the throes of hurts, habits, and hangups, or as I like to say, when the accuser has got a hold of you. He's got a hold of you good. You've got a relationship with him, maybe a better relationship with the accuser than you have with your Lord Jesus Christ. But remember, the hound of heaven is very close behind, but you have to surrender. You have to decide that you are powerless over alcohol and that your life is unmanageable. Can't be a mother, can't be a father, can't be a daughter, can't be a wife, can't do anything. So surrender. Give it to God. Give it to a God of your understanding. If you don't know God, somewhere in the midst of it, you'll find the God that has loved you and believed in you all of your life. I'm J. Michael McCoy. We're coming back live here on RestoringHopeLive.com. J. Michael McCoy here with Restoring Hope, and I've got my friend Joe Mines in from St. Gregory's Retreat Centers. And, you know, no matter what the issue that we speak of with Restoring Hope, it all comes down to hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Now, maybe those habits turn into addictions. Maybe those hang-ups turn into depression or heavy resentments. And maybe what you've done is you've thought, well, I'm okay. I don't drink too much alcohol. I don't smoke dope and do meth. But I've got some antidepressants that I get from the doctor. And I had that back injury, you know, from a year or so ago, that old football injury, guys, right? Wink, wink. So you take some painkillers, and before you know it, your life's out of control. And I know you don't want to admit that. I'm okay. I've been there too. But at some point, things happen, and people notice. And you're in the grips of prescription medicine addiction. And you think, well, the doctor's given it to me. It's got to be okay. It's not. And one of the people that can help you release from that grip is St. Gregory's. How crucial is it that people understand what they're doing with prescription drugs nowadays?
I'll tell you, it's an incredible epidemic, and it's really at the forefront of what we see in the addiction treatment world, really. There's so many times where people are trying to figure out, well, are these narcotic painkillers good or bad altogether? Are these anxiety relievers good or bad altogether? And what we're really finding is those drugs serve a purpose. When you've had an injury and you're taking those painkillers, everyone knows, I think, that can be a real godsend when there's extreme pain. The difficulty is exactly what you had mentioned. When there's some other hurts, habits, or hangups in your life, then all of a sudden those painkillers start filling a need other than just the physical pain. Yep. When they start replacing some of the difficulty in dealing with your emotional traumas with a pill, as well as the physical relief, now we have a real twofold issue. We've got physical issues as well as mental and emotional issues that pill is really helping you with. And that's how we see so many people come into this trap of prescription drug addiction. Now, a lot of times we have a lot of trouble with people who fall into the grips of a prescription drug addiction because it doesn't seem like the same type of a thing that we'd normally speak of when we talk about addiction. And they're a lot of times reluctant to seek out help because they think, well, I'm not a cocaine user or I'm not at the bar every day, but they know that they've got difficulties in coming off of these medications and they're affecting a lot of different dynamics in their lives. And that's something that St. Gregory's really prides ourselves on. When somebody comes into our program for help, we first of all really make sure that we're helping you to become well enough to recover wholly. We're really trying to help you understand why are you behaving and what's really causing those emotional difficulties, and then teaching you the tools and skills to overcome those barriers that are keeping you from being the person you were created to be. We disagree with the idea that God created you to be an addict. We're really getting down to the barrel here of understanding what does it look like for you to honestly evaluate what are your gifts, what are your talents, where is your value? And when we understand what those are, now we can start lining up what types of activities, what kind of life engagement are you looking at that's really going to provide that happiness for you. And that's how we intend to help people recover. And let's help to restore you from the bottom up, and you're able to obtain happiness and joy from other areas of your life.
I've met them. They're honest to goodness human counselors that understand where you're coming from. They understand your hurt, your habit, and your hang up, and they're going to help you, and they're going to help you with the love of Jesus Christ. That's the most important thing. All right, the number again, 1-888-778-5833. That's 888-778-5833. The website is stgregoryctr.com.
Restoring hope. To sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope. Open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
9 minutes before the top of the hour, the 5th day of March in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, along with Dr. Mike Hartwig and Bob Montserrat. We are Restoring Hope Live. Next Sunday, Mom's Day. Why don't we bring on a whole bunch of happy moms and bring in some punch and some cupcakes and just have a party for Mom? That's not Restoring Hope Live style. Next week, a mother and father who lost their only child to meth addiction. Wow. What kind of Mother's Day is it going to be for her? We'll talk to those folks. But
very hopeful. I mean, they are jazzed up for Christ.
I was going to say, they found Christ in the middle of it, right?
Yeah, they see Christ every time they turn the corner.
All right.
Talked to them last week. Is wonderful.
Our guests are Dick and Jane. Of course, that's not their real name, but they are a profile husband and wife here in our community, and asked for
anonymity.
Thank you, to do the show. And Jane was 4 months sober, doing great. Had your old girlfriend back at that time? Your wife, your sweetheart,
that sounded bad, man.
Yeah, I know. I corrected that. Yeah, real quick.
You did.
You had the girl you married.
That's
back.
why she went back on the wagon.
Right. But and you actually bring up a very factual, interesting point. Is that when you are married to somebody who is struggling with an addiction like alcohol, that person has multiple personalities, and they are in fact having an affair.
Mm-hmm.
They've brought in somebody who is their secondary or primary lover in some cases, depending on the day.
So was there ever a time...
And that's alcohol.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But was there ever a time when you looked at her and, you know, she's kind of fun when she's had a couple in her?
You know, no.
Are you thinking that? Is that what you're thinking? I'm so much more fun when I'm drinking.
No, maybe early on, but not.
Yeah.
As the years have gone by and as things have progressed, definitely not.
So are you like? Do you kind of go in your shell, or you get more gregarious, or?
Yeah, a little paranoia comes in.
Paranoia.
Well, because
What's that look like?
Well, I knew he was watching or counting or knowing that it was bothering him as much as it became a growing problem with me. Then
so do you
I
feel
get
like
on the defense before.
Do you feel like he's judging you all the time?
It's a weird thing. I don't think judging is the word. Scared for me.
Why don't you just get rid of him and then you can drink and nobody will bother you?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Oh, no.
I didn't mean that kiddingly.
Yeah, great question.
Some make that choice.
Yeah, many people make that choice. I don't want that nagging anymore.
Yeah, you're in the way here. Let me,
because it scared me over the years, seeing how it's changed me and changed getting to be a larger elephant in the room. I think years ago I drank and didn't think too much of it and had friends and it was very social. Drinking, but in the past few years, it's changed. It's crept earlier in the day.
Let me
the
ask
quantity
you this.
was
Do you
greater.
like who you are when you're drinking?
No.
What about that don't you like?
A lot of anger and resentments kind of get into my head and swirl around and take focus as opposed to being joyous for the wonderful blessings that I do have.
All right, I want to make a programming note here. In about 2 minutes, we will leave XM. Now, we will continue this conversation online, and if you have an app, either Google or iPhone, it's Webcast, WEBCAST, onelive.com. But there's an app at Webcast One Live, Webcast One Live. You can go to that app, push on it, and we'll continue this program without interruption online. Now, we want to take a phone call. I want to go to Raul from Texas. Raul, you're live on Restoring Hope Live. How you doing?
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. You got about a minute and a half. Go ahead.
All right. The thing is, brothers, I used to be a drug addict, alcoholic, but Christ really changed my life, and I was losing my wife to another man too. But I started seeking the kingdom of God with all my heart, consume myself with the Word, and He put everything back together. He didn't just give me salvation, but He restored my family. He's restoring everything, and now I help run a home for drug addicts.
Oh wow!
And it's something beautiful what God has used me from the old me that used to be, but you have to come in brokenness and consume yourself with the Word of God, and He will change things. The power is within, with Him on His blood.
Right. Well, thank you very much. Roy from Texas, hang on. I'm going to get to you in a minute. Have you fallen far enough? I mean, do we got to get lower?
No.
Well, what are you going to do?
I got to do what I'm supposed to be doing. I've got to be calling my sponsor. I've got to be doing what the program teaches that I've chosen to ignore.
Because it will work, don't you think?
Yeah, if I let it.
Can I change that just a little bit? I'm glad you want to do what you're supposed to do, but in the big scheme of things, don't you really want to do that?
I want to, but I'm scared, too.
Biblical backup. Dr. Mike, real quick.
First of all, Jane, let me tell you, you are really blessed to have a guy stand by you
10
to walk
seconds.
through this. God says, let me make man. It's not good that he's alone. I'll make for him a helpmeet. You guys are helping each other through one of the toughest times in life. Hats off to you guys. It really is the way to go.
Okay, stay with us. We'll be back online in 10 seconds here live.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Okay, it's top of the hour, and we're back live at restoringhopelive.com. If you're still with us, you're on the internet. We appreciate that. Remember, we have an app for that at Webcast One Live. Webcast One Live, and you can get that on your iPhone or your Google. All right, Bob Montserrat's job is to watch a chat that we have here, and you have a question. It came in several minutes ago, and I apologize I didn't get to it right away, but you have a question on the chat for Jane.
Yeah, this question is from Christy, and the question is, does the craving ever go away? And then maybe, Mac, for you, it says, even after being sober a long time.
Does the craving ever go away? For me, it hasn't. I mean, during the 4 months I had, it's different than when I was drinking the 2 bottles of wine and the craving to just, get my morning going and get feeling better from the hangover. There's not that that level of the physical craving, but mentally, how much time it takes up in my head.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It's dumbfounding, and it is insane.
I agree with you. I found that too. My whole day was planned around that first drink. And for heaven's sakes, if I was going to be home for a long weekend, had to make sure I had enough food and liquor and mixer, and because I wasn't going to leave the house,
Because you might be drunk?
Well, after my second OWI, I swore I'd never drink and drive again, and I never did, even though it took me 9 years to quit drinking after that. But I swore I'd never drink.
So you pile everything up at home just so that you wouldn't have to leave because you were afraid you were going to do a OWI or what?
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to drive.
Sure.
So, and
you just line
you can
everything
only
up at home.
eat so much call-out chicken and pizza and Chinese. And so, you'd make sure you had the liquor that you need. And
sure.
It's terrible how much room it takes up in your head.
So, Mac, the second part of the question, does that craving ever go away? It's been almost 3 years for you.
Yeah, I believe the Holy Spirit lifted that desire for me to drink, because I have been with my wife still drinks wine. I have been out with people. I've been a designated driver to some people who drank too much. Doesn't faze me a bit. My trigger is playmates and playgrounds. I can't go to the same places I used to go because being in those places make me want to drink. Because drinking for me was about fun. And so I would surround myself with fun people and do stupid fun things. And
the alcohol helped? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
I just get more crazy when you were drunk.
Now that I look back, I don't know why I ever drank. I didn't drink till I was 31 years old. I grew up in an alcoholic household that there was always liquor and beer, plentiful, out on the counter. And I didn't have any desire to touch it. And then in 94, something tragic happened to me, and I decided I was the victim. And so I had a little money in my pocket, so I went out and built a nightclub and started drinking.
So did you have a trigger event? Or did you just kind of slide into it?
No, I kind of slid into it. I grew up in a house where my parents would maybe have a bottle of wine and split it over the course of 3 days, twice a year. I mean, they never really drank. And so it wasn't a part of growing up in our home.
Do you have any alcoholism in your family?
I have a cousin, and my family is of the stoic Norwegian hush-hush type, where we don't talk about those things.
But we make it in our basement.
So
don't tell anybody.
There's been suspicion of other relatives, but that are long since passed, grandparents and other.
Okay, I want to go to the phone. Roy's been holding on for almost 15 minutes here. Roy, I'm sorry I made you hang on this long. Thanks for joining us here on RestoringHopeLive.com.
Well, I've got kind of a long story. Anytime you get bored with it, you can tell me to shut up, and it won't bother me.
Well, tell you what, I'll give you 3 minutes.
I'll try to tell it in that long. I'm 74 years old, and I just wanted to testify how faithful God is. I never drank until I joined the Navy. My father was an alcoholic. My grandfather was an alcoholic. There were bunches of alcoholics in my family. Anyway, I got in the Navy, and I run across a bunch of guys. That's all they want to do is drink. And so they took me over, and they were going to get me drunk and get me tattooed. Well, it wound up I outdrank all of them and had to take them back.
Did you get a tattoo?
No. Anyway, my deal was I drank because I like to drink. I didn't have to have a reason. I didn't have to be with anybody. If you broke the seal on a bottle, you had to finish it before you left. And then I got out in 1962, and I met a guy that I had known in high school, and we went out, and I got me a filth of Smirnoff vodka. I don't remember what proof it was, probably the strongest one they make. Anyway, I drank that filth that night, and I woke up the next morning, and I got to thinking, you know, there's all of these alcoholics in my family, Lord. And, well, I need to go back. I was saved when I was 9 years old, but when I was in the Navy, I never met another Christian. And so it wasn't hard to, you know, kind of go along with the crowd. And when I woke up that morning, I decided that, you know, we didn't need any more alcoholics in my family, so I prayed. And I was delivered from alcoholism. I haven't really had a desire to drink since then. And that was September the 17th, 1962. I got married. I met a Catholic lady, and at that time I thought, you know, any religion is good just as long as you're sincere. You could be a Buddhist, a Hindu, or not on the log just as long as you were sincere, and that's all that mattered. Anyway, a number of years later, I realized, you know, that when Jesus said, I am the way, that he is the only way. And since then, that's the way I've tried
Hey, Roy,
to
let
live
me jump in here. What do you say to people that say, hey, they prayed their guts out, and it's just not working for them?
Well, you know, I don't know. I've known guys that have walked the aisle and said they were saved and go 4 or 5 weeks without a drink, and then, you know, the next thing you know, they're drinking again. I don't know. I know that 12-step programs help some people, and I know several other people who prayed once and God delivered them. You know, I don't know why. I don't know how. I just know that he delivered me from it. He's always been faithful to me, even when I wasn't walking with him. He always put something in my way, an obstacle that would bring me back.
Roy, I appreciate you calling and calling in from Texas down there. Congratulations. So when is your 75th birthday?
My 75th birthday will be July the 24th next year.
All right. Well, when you turn 75, I want you to call the show so we can sing happy birthday to you.
All right.
Will you do that for me?
Yeah, I'll try to remember.
All right, buddy. We love you. Thanks for calling in. He'll remember better than I will, probably. All right, back to Dick and Jane here, and then we're going to wrap this up today.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, where do you go from here, Dick? I mean, you and I talked yesterday on the phone for a while. You're broken.
Well, you know, it's life is funny. You end up at the end of a day. You're dog tired. You've had a rough day. You wake up the next day and you go at it again. You know, I like to work out, and you go to the gym and you work out and you're tired and you don't ever want to work out again. You wake up the next day refreshed and you go at it again. And I look at this and I say, well, you know, this is just part of the work that's ahead of us. You know, at some point in time, obviously you could get to where you say, I can't take it anymore. I have to get away. But, you know, Every time I think
I
I've
want to
hit,
stop you right there.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Jane, when he gets to that point? When he said, for the sake of our children and my sanity, I love you. I'm not punishing you. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just going to let you do what you're going to do because I can't watch it anymore.
I think he's at that point.
So what are you going to, is that enough?
I just have to take it one day at a time. And my sponsor says every 15 minutes, every minute, if you need to say the serenity prayer, if you need to get on your knees.
Yeah.
And
I wore out that serenity prayer the first year.
I haven't been doing that.
Oh, girl.
I haven't been doing that. I haven't been just saying one day at a time. I've been angry that I have this. I do accept that I'm an alcoholic. I do believe it's something I'll have for the rest of my life. Yeah. And that I can't enjoy alcohol normally or the way I used to, even when it was a social drink instead of where it has morphed into this monster. And so the only thing I can do is just every time I'm feeling squirrely, I got to pick up the phone. I've got to say that serenity prayer. I've got to keep going to meetings. I like you were saying, it's every day you wake up and you say, I choose today. Right. This is what I'm going to do.
I learned something. It was this week, as we were going through a lot of this, I learned something. And I would always say to Jane, well, if you're in one of those situations and then there's that glass of wine that somebody else is having, you're tempted, you got to be able to get on the phone and call your sponsor or call somebody and reach out for help, and it wasn't happening. And it dawned on me that you have to be a better planner than the disease. You need to head those moments off at the pass, not when you're in them. You need to think ahead in your day. When am I going to encounter that point?
Yeah, Jane,
when am I going to run into that? I'm supposed to meet somebody for lunch today. It's 8:00 in the morning. Is that when that could happen? Don't wait till you're at lunch and you're going up. Here comes the order for the wine.
We learn in 12-step programs to have an exit plan, right? You've heard that before?
I've heard that before.
Yeah, have an exit plan. Maybe you're not going to be able to do the job you're doing. I've owned nightclubs and restaurants all my life. And one of the very hard things I had to come to realize is I will never, ever, ever be able to walk in to any of my facilities while they're open again, because those are the playmates and playgrounds. I can go in my business during the day and I'm just fine. But I go in there at 10 o'clock at night when the booze is flowing and the girls are dancing and the guys are having fun and we're playing country music and just having a whoop-up time. I'm dead. My disease just caught up with me, and he's celebrating a gold medal. So in 3 years,
you just don't walk by it.
I don't go. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't go.
Doesn't mean that you sell your businesses, but I would think that sometimes that does happen.
Well, and I'm never going to build another one.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm done with those. But
does it help to think about the kids, think about husband, that kind of stuff? Does that help at all?
Of course it does, but
is there a disconnect there? Sometimes it's like,
No, she's about to give you probably the most honest answer that she could give to that, which is what? Does the kids and husband matter? Yes, but...
But if I'm alone by myself and I think, well, it's not going to hurt them, I'm not hurting them.
Right.
And it's that taking over your mind and the tricks it'll play in your mind saying, oh, come on.
Have you thought about this, that your kids are watching you?
I have. I have thought about that.
Dr. Mike, let me, at least from my perspective, alcohol is the accuser's tool.
Sure.
My grandma just sat up in her grave and said, good job, son. But alcohol is the devil's tool.
Sure.
Now, for you, it may not be. Okay.
Well, I got something else. Yeah, we all have something.
Yeah, but if alcohol is the devil's tool inside you, nothing good comes happen. Yeah. Nothing good comes about when that's in the mix. And I love my family. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love my grandkids. But alcohol came first. Sorry, it came first. Now, I tried to prioritize. Well, I'm not going to drink at 4 p.m. because I got to pick up my son from school. And I'm not going to drink at 6 o'clock at night because my wife's coming home and we're going to have dinner. But at 8, you in bed? Yeah. See you tomorrow? Yeah. Love you. Love you, Jane. Love you, Dick. Bye-bye. Gulp, 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 gulp. In the dark. Isolated in the basement.
Not hurting anybody. And that begs another question is how do we know, sure, you deal with the alcoholism, but how do we know we just don't give something else in its place?
Well, you might. I gained. One of the reasons I wanted to quit drinking, I didn't hit a low bottom to quit drinking. I just was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
And I heard a sermon one day that made me think, all right, this is it. Now's the time. And I gained 40 pounds. I used to actually be a svelte guy. But, you know.
Yeah, so how do you know you give up the bottle, then how do you know you're not going to give into something else?
Non-dairy creamer has been, we've been going through it. It's expensive stuff, and an awful lot
The new
of
ID.
bottle a day.
Yeah. But I only drink it at night after the kids go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
I've got to fill that mental time. I've got to fill that physical time.
And that void.
And that void of something I'd relied on for 20 years to help with anxiety and sleep.
I filled all that with the Lord's Prayer and the Serenity Prayer. And
what is the Serenity Prayer?
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom to change the
courage,
the courage to change the things I can,
and the
wisdom to know the difference.
Give me the serenity.
God, give me the serenity.
Now, what's serenity mean?
Peace, I would imagine.
What's serenity for you?
The moments that fill me up, where I want for nothing, and moments that of serenity that I've had just even recently is when one of my kids falls asleep on top of me.
Yeah.
And when it's just been the beautiful weather we've had, except for the snow. But just those moments where you want for nothing and your heart is still, your mind is quiet.
Serenity for me was peace.
I love that picture of a child sleeping on her mother.
Yeah, serenity is peace. It's not battling with the demon anymore. It's knowing that your disease is not doing push-ups outside the door, that he has been beaten and he's struggling to get down the street.
Right.
That's
But he, I think a thing you can certainly learn from him in how you have to defeat anything that he throws up against you is he never gets discouraged. Your demon. Mm-hmm. You know, you defeat him for a while, and he says, "I'll lay low. I will lay low.
Yeah.
I'm not. I haven't given up. I'm not. I will not walk away from you. I will always be here. I'll always be in the background, and I will find a moment. I will wait for a moment. Maybe it won't present itself. That's okay. There's plenty of victims out there. There's plenty of people I can get, but I will never leave you alone. I will never stop dogging you. I mean, I really think." Because one of the things Jane went through is, we had a Listerine thing that happened. You're going, well, gee, gosh, that's just a product. But when she first came back from the recovery facility, and they said, well, you got to get rid of things like alcohol, hairsprays with alcohol. It's like I was stunned. The smell is enough. Mm-hmm. And here's how that demon, he lays back, and he's over your shoulder, and the hairspray goes on the hair, and then it's like, boom. Spritz in the mouth because it's got alcohol in it. And it knows, he knows. And he's like, I just worked my way back in. And I just worked my way back in. And he never, ever, especially with somebody struggling with a disease, this part of the disease, is he never gives up. Is he never just walks away and says, well, I've lost this person. He always holds hope. He's more hopeful than we can be at times, that he'll get you again.
And for me, the only thing that I can defeat the accuser with is Jesus. It's
the only thing he doesn't have the power to defeat.
Yeah, I couldn't defeat him in meetings, although I went to one every day. That helped. I couldn't defeat him in meditation, although that was why I couldn't even defeat him in Scripture, even though that gave me joy to move forward and courage. Yeah. But that old line, Satan, get behind me. I surrender to my Christ. Mm-hmm. And right now, either Jesus is going to help me or the accuser is going to get me. And in the middle is free will. And I'm going to choose Jesus. Yeah. Because it's the only choice I've got. I can't stop drinking on my own. I can't stop the desire. It smells all around me. It's what I want. Jesus is the only thing that can stop me from getting that. Mm-hmm. And that's when I went from being a God-based person to a Jesus freak. Because for the first time in my life, I needed Jesus for something. And that was the only way I've been sober for 1,090 days.
Nicely said.
Well,
really nicely said.
I literally, and I don't mean to freak anybody out by this, but I literally feel Jesus' hand in my hand, and we're just going to walk down the road, and I'm going to say, I don't want to take another step unless you kind of lead the way. Or I lay in bed at night and I pray and I hold my hands together like I'm holding his hand, and I just say, you got to do this.
Right.
Because I can't do this.
That's a great place to be. When you get to that point, it's a cool place to be, and you just are confident.
That's a lot of surrender.
Well, it is. It's total surrender.
Yeah.
I have totally surrendered. That's all I got. Because I am
which goes against so much of how we want to be. We want to be so much in control of everything.
Right.
That's like to surrender all of it is.
Well, see, I'm not in control of anything anymore.
Yeah.
I went from control freak to
control weak.
Yeah, I mean, you. One of the things that I've worked on real hard in my life is you can't offend me. You can try. You might get the hair on the back of my head to raise up a little bit when you start knocking my pastor or my wife, but I just don't get offended anymore because
Can we try?
Offended,
Can we really try?
Sure, because getting offended, I don't know about you, Jane, but getting offended created resentments, and that made me want to drink because I was mad at people, and I couldn't go yell at them, scream at them, tell them what I thought, so I just drink that pain in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, drink it in. Not because on the outside I was just a sweetheart, but on the inside I was just a bundling ball of resentments. What are your resentments?
Oh, I don't know if we want to get into all of these things right now.
That's fine. That's fine. That caught me off guard. All right. All right. Thank you for being here today. I hope this helped.
Thank you. Yes.
I want to have you on again.
Okay.
Soon. I think we ought to set a date, and no matter what the situation is, you have to be here.
Okay.
I'll be your accountability partner.
Okay.
I will. You got to have a female.
You're right. No,
sponsor.
I have my
I can't be
sponsor.
your sponsor,
Sure.
but I will. I'll come over there and take his belt and do old-fashioned style. Whoop your butt.
I don't know if I like this.
No, I'm not.
So you'll be using the belt and my pants will fall down because without my belt,
and then she'll just laugh.
Yeah. Well,
Dr. Mike, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Bob Montserrat, thanks for producing, guys. Maddie, thanks to everybody. We'll see you next week for our Mother's Day show. It won't be a happy one, but it'll be a healthy one. It'll be one where you find a parent, a mom and dad lose their only child to a meth addiction, and in the middle of it, they find Christ. It's amazing what God can do. We'll see you next week live right here on Restoring Hope Live.